things we keep inside. I know I'll be alright. I'll fight with will and time.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Robert.
And this is Robert.
And you are listening to Robert's Sportcast.
So we're on episode 3 now of our Sportcast. So guys, hopefully you guys have been enjoying it up to this point in time. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our week 1 predictions that we had. Week 1 obviously passed. Tomorrow, which will be today for you guys watching this, if you're watching it on our release date, will be week 2, most of the games besides that Thursday night game. So we're going to be looking back at our week 1 predictions and seeing how accurate or inaccurate we were. So we obviously already talked about the Texans and Chiefs game, and I gave my opinion, maybe a little bit too harshly, about David Johnson needing to run the ball a little bit more. So yeah, go check that out if you want a little bit more precise play-by-play how it happened. But yeah, we're going to look at some of these games that happened in week 1. So I'm going to start with the Packers and Vikings. I predicted the Packers to win. I believe you also took the Packers by 3, right?
No, I had the Vikings by 3.
You had the Vikings by 3? Okay, yeah, so it was going to be a close game, but the Packers actually ended up blowing out the Vikings by what was the score, 40-something to, I didn't write the score, I don't have the scores written down, but it was bad. In the first...
Yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah, the first quarter was really close. I think the Packers just had a better team overall. That's why I went with them. Never doubt Aaron Rodgers, especially with no crowd in Minnesota. I mean, not a big effect on him. So, yeah, that's why I picked the Packers, and I was right about that one. So, Jets and Bills, everyone in America basically picked the Bills to win, and they did. I think it wasn't even close. It might have been a little bit close, but not really. Eagles at the Washington football team. Okay, this is I didn't actually watch this game because it wasn't on TV. I was watching the Packers and Vikings and the Patriots and Dolphins one. So I didn't watch this. I didn't watch it. So
yeah, I didn't either.
I think the Redskins won 27-20. I want to say, because I remember looking at the scores earlier, and that's what I saw. So I don't know exactly what happened at the end. All I heard was Carson Wentz got sacked 8 times. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of scary going into week 2 as we do our week 2 predictions in a little while. So yeah, I think that's kind of there's 5 first round picks on the defensive line for the Washington football team. I want to say Redskins, but football team. So, and Eagles busted up offensive line, couldn't handle them, and they came back. So that caught everyone off guard, including myself. So that's gonna be my first wrong prediction. Browns at Ravens. Everyone picked the Ravens. The Ravens won 38 to 6 or 10 or I think.
Yeah, I had Ravens winning 31-24. I thought it was gonna be a lot closer.
Yeah, no, the Browns always kind of struggle in the first game. They came back. They won the second game, but that was still a close game. Yeah. But Browns always kind of struggle in their first game. They never really win. I mean, the best they've done is they tied against the Steelers, I think 2 years ago. But they never can get that opening win to start the season, so it's really tough on them sometimes. Going into the Colts and the Jags. Dylan, I think you might want to talk about this one a little bit more than I do.
The Jaguars won, baby. Minshew, he's the road to, is the best quarterback in the league.
Best quarterback.
I'm just kidding.
19 out of 20.
19 out of 20. Ooh.
19 out of 20 pass completions.
I believe he had 170 yards.
Not great, yards, but percentage, completion percentage.
He wasn't missing his wide receivers. So.
I don't think he threw an interception, did he?
No, I don't think so. No, he didn't.
Oh.
And then I forget, the rookie.
Oh, Henderson.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Henderson, the cornerback for
I think he was named Rookie of the Week.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on your story on Instagram. We should probably start posting more about that stuff on our sports Instagram, on our Robert Sportcast Instagram. It's in the link in the description.
If you guys saw, I posted something Tuesday night. I would be talking about a conversation we'll be talking about later.
Yeah, so we'll obviously be going a little bit deeper, but so yeah, I think the Jags upsetting the Colts is a big deal. I thought Phillip Rivers, with that offensive line, with T.Y. Hilton, those other weapons they had, would really show up the Jags, especially with Jags having almost no notable names besides, Gardner Minshew, Josh Allen as an edge rusher. That's about it, though. That's all I can really think of off the top of my head. So yeah, that's pretty big upset here. So that's gonna be my second wrong prediction, I guess you could say. Raiders at Panthers. I took the Raiders and they won, but it was a really close game.
Yeah, I had Panthers winning 27-24.
Yeah, it was a really close game, and honestly, Panthers probably could have won that game with a better drive, but I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater yet. I think the Raiders don't have a great defense. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him yet. We'll see how the season progresses. If he's a number one quarterback, I know he is, but is he going to be an elite or very good or meh? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Bears at Lions. I didn't get this one right either. I picked the Lions to win.
Yeah, I did too.
But okay, so I don't. Did you watch that game?
No, I didn't see
No.
any. I saw a little bit of it.
So at the very last drive, the Lions had the football. I don't know what the score was. I think the Bears were up by like a couple points. The Lions marched on the field. Matthew Stafford's at the 10-yard line, or I don't know exactly what yard line, around the 10. Then they're in the red zone. They're really close, with like a couple seconds left. He throws it to the rookie. Forgot his name. He's a rookie running back, and he drops the ball. He has it in his hands. He's in the end zone. No one's near him.
Yeah, that's the play I saw.
Yeah, if he catches it, it's game over. They win. But yeah, so that's kind of someone said that's the best way to define the Lions' history in the NFL. Like they're that close, but they never do it. And yeah, it's kind of true though. So the Bears got really super lucky here, but the Lions should have won this game. So it's my third wrong prediction, which should have been a right one if you caught it. But it's whatever. Seahawks at Falcons. Seahawks won, which I kind of assumed they would.
Yeah, I had Seahawks winning as well.
I kind of was assuming they'd win by a little bit more than what they did. I think the Seahawks are just kind of trying to put all those big names they have together. Jamal Adams, and I think Jamal Adams had a sack. I saw like on a play, and I thought he played pretty well. I didn't actually watch the game, but what I did watch of it looked pretty good. Patriots at Dolphins, or my bad, Dolphins at Patriots. Excuse me. Patriots ended up winning. I think it was, I want to say 21, or it was either 20 or 21-11. It was something like around those numbers.
Yeah.
Cam Newton was just balling out
He really was.
I watched that game. Just I think it was a little bit more entertaining than the Vikings and Packers after the Packers started smoking them. So that's the game I was watching.
Yeah, I had Patriots win as well, 20-16.
That was pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I think Cam Newton's going to be a great addition for that Patriots team. So we'll see how he progresses. He had, I think, over 200 total scrimmage yards for that Patriots team. So I love how they can be so diverse. He was pretty on target. I think his wide receivers had a couple drops. Maybe I think Edelman drops the ball at one point. So I don't remember exactly, play by play. I wasn't tuned into this game 100%, but Patriots looked really good, and I think Bill Belichick is starting to prove that with any quarterback he can be successful. Chargers at Bengals. I picked the Chargers to win this one.
I had Chargers winning as well, 24-21.
That was pretty accurate. It was 16-13, I believe. And Burrow actually, I didn't watch this game, but I heard he had a decent game. He had that rushing touchdown that was played everywhere because, he's the number one overall pick, so it was going to be played everywhere. But it was a good run, don't get me wrong. But, he had the ball from what I heard, and he was driving down the field, and they were about to kick a game-time field goal, go into overtime, and the kicker missed. So, yeah, that's the Bengals for you.
Miss kicks.
A lot of missed kicks. We'll get into that.
Week one.
And yeah, so there was another correct prediction. So we're going to go to the upset here at the Cardinals and the 49ers, which both me and Dylan predicted the Cardinals would upset the 49ers.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
I had 27-24.
Yeah, it was a very close game. I think I remember watching the 3 o'clock game or 3:25 game for Central. We're in Central time, so it could be different for everyone. And I looked at the score and it was 10-0. The 49ers were up 10-0. I'm like, oh my goodness, are they about to get blown out right now? And I'm just going to look like an idiot. But no, they came back. DeAndre Hopkins had 150 receiving yards. I think he had a touchdown or two. I don't know if he got any. I think he had a couple touchdowns, maybe 1 or 2. And he had 14 receptions, I think, or something. It was crazy. Yeah. So I'm really liking this new Cardinals offense and how they're trying to get the ball out to everybody, especially DeAndre. He needs it. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a really ballsy prediction we both had, but it both worked out. Buccaneers at Saints.
I had the Saints winning, obviously.
Yeah, I did too. I felt like the Buccaneers I had all the pieces together, but how were they going to mesh? They didn't mesh very well. They put up, I think, 24 points total. They didn't even hit the 30 mark with all that offensive talent. Brady had a pick 6, just a bad read. He had a bad miscommunication with Mike Evans to another interception. Yeah, they started their first drive was really good. Brady got a 1-yard quarterback sneak touchdown, but the Saints were just the better team overall because they've been playing together for so long. And
I think with the Buccaneers, if they are going to be good, it's going to take time. It's not going to come quickly.
Don't expect this team to go, 12-4 because they're not. This is not a 12-4 team right now. And a year from now, possibly. They could be. They just got to coordinate together. Could this team go 9-7, 10-6, and make the playoffs? Of course. I think they have enough talent to do that. They just got to put it all together here. And especially Brady has to be that leader, step up, not have miscommunications and bad reads, which he did have in this game. So, yeah, that was a really kind of one-sided game for the most part. It was kind of competitive, and then second quarter, it just wasn't fun to watch. Cowboys at Rams was a game to watch through and through. As a Cowboys fan, I was very upset that we lost this game. This is a game that we should have won. I feel like there was a really bad call at the end of the game with pass interference. Michael Gallup got a step in front of Ramsey, and Michael Gallup put his hand out, didn't shove him or anything, just put his hand on him to kind of keep the separation. And Ramsey leaned back like he got pushed, and of course the ref was behind him, so we saw Gallup's arm go out a little bit. You saw Ramsey's back go back. And Gallup caught it, obviously, and they called pass interference, so it didn't count. Dak couldn't do anything else because that was the play to win the game or tie up the game. And, it just didn't work out for the Cowboys that game, and that's kind of how it goes for them.
I had the Cowboys winning as well. So.
Yeah, Aaron Donald was just destroying the Cowboys' offensive line. The Cowboys have a lot of little problems they got to work out on defense as well. But, I saw the Cowboys winning, so that's my fourth and final wrong prediction for week 1. And then the 2 Monday night games that I didn't get to watch because thank you, school, for the homework. And football, obviously, actual practice. Steelers at the Giants. And didn't you pick the Giants to win that one?
Yeah, I had the Giants win that one.
So the Steelers ended up winning. I want to say it was I think it was like a 1 or 2 touch. It was a really close game. Yeah. It wasn't like a blowout or anything. But Roethlisberger did what Roethlisberger did, and he produced. The defense held the Giants, I know for sure, under 20 points. I think they had 16. So Steelers' defense is going to be really good this year. I think they're really slept on. I don't know if they're quite Baltimore Ravens team. I'm expecting them to go second in the division. But I think they're definitely going to be a team to watch out for in the future. Then Titans at Broncos. Who did you take in that one?
I had the Titans.
I did too, yeah. Titans with Derrick Henry. Broncos, it was a pretty close game, actually. Was it the kicker, Gostowski, right? Is that the kicker? He missed a ton of. He missed 3.
I think he was 4.
3 or 4 kicks. Yeah, he missed an extra point. I think he missed 2 field goals, and he hit the game winner field goal though. Yeah. So at least he got redemption. He won the game for him. I mean, they could have won if you kicked them earlier, but at least you go out on top in that buzzer beater winning field goal. So that's the end of the week 1 predictions, and I think I was pretty accurate. 10, 12. I think before I started doing podcasting, I was in this league where we predicted who would win each week. And my first week, I went 12-4. So I think that's something. Hopefully, I keep that. I like that. I like getting 12 of them right, and only 4 of them wrong. And that's just what's going to happen. You can't be perfect. The next topic I'm going to go ahead and talk about here is the Bengals at the Browns. So that was the Thursday night game. That's the first week 2 game, and I didn't do my prediction on it. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to predict the game. I'm actually probably not going to be able to predict these games because of the fact that we record this on Saturday and it's Thursday. So, but I am going to talk about it. I did watch this the second half of this game. I was busy in the first half, but I did watch the second half. Joe Burrow looked really good. That's the first thing I want to talk about is the Bengals offense. Joe Burrow was leading that team. The ball placement was right in the receiver's hands. AJ Green wasn't having a great night. He dropped 2 balls, maybe even more, at least in the second half that I watched. He's not quite the receiver he was. But Joe Burrow had 61 attempts to throw the ball, 37 completions, 60.7 completion percentage, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 90.6 quarterback rating, which the best is, I believe, is 153.6 or something like that, around those numbers. So yeah, he did pretty good. I think he had a pretty good game, especially for getting the ball 61 times. For sure, he was sacked 3 times. He probably was hit a lot more than that. The offensive line's got to be better for the Bengals for sure. The Bengals' offensive line just was not holding up for Joe. They couldn't get Joe Mixon on the ground running the ground game. So I don't know exactly how they're going to solve this problem in the future. Hopefully, they draft an offensive lineman to help him out next year. But yeah, Bengals offense put up 30 points, and Joe Burrow had 3 touchdowns. So he kind of got to put him on his back, and they got to help him out. The offensive play call for the Bengals was really good. I want to talk about the Browns' offense as well. I think the ground game for the Browns is what won them the game. There's tended to be the way I look at football is if you can win on the ground, you'll win the game. Look at how well the Titans did last year in the playoffs. The only reason they lost that game was because it's Patrick Mahomes, how explosive that offense is. And the only problem with the rushing offense is if you get behind, you got to throw the ball. If you're down 2 touchdowns, you can't keep running the ball because then you run out the clock, and you just can't do that. You got to conserve the clock. If you miss a throw, it stops the clock. You still have time on the board. But if you get the lead early and you keep running the ball, you chew out the clock and you keep that lead with the clock running. So that's why you want to run the ball, and that's why ground teams that run the ball usually do perform better. And the Browns did. They had 200 total rushing yards. I think Kareem Hunt had around 86 yards more or less, and Nick Chubb, man, no one on the Bengals defense could tackle Nick Chubb. He was running through guys. He had 120 something yards, and I think a touchdown or 2. To add to that total, they played great. The dynamic duo of Kareem Hunt, who maybe not likes to go to hotels for vacation, and Nick Chubb, who's a great player and great running back. So yeah, this offense, Baker Mayfield didn't really impress me. The Bengals secondary isn't very great, and he threw an interception. He didn't look very good. I'm starting to lose faith in Baker. When they drafted him, I felt like he would be a really good fit for the Browns. He was very arrogant, kind of cocky, like, oh yeah, I know how good I am, and I feel like that kind of represented the Browns fans a little bit. I'm like, wow, this is a perfect match made in heaven. And now he's trying to play like the Browns quarterback typically would. I mean, he's not horrible, but he's like mediocre quarterback. And I think if they want to shot at the playoffs this year, they got to rely on the ground game. The offensive line played pretty well for the Browns, and those are the offenses. Don't look at the defense. So the Browns' defense played really well. Besides giving up 30 points, I think the secondary was kind of getting tired of Joe Burrow throwing the ball 61 times, and I can't blame him. I would be kind of upset. But the defensive line did pretty good for the Browns. Like I said earlier, they got 3 sacks for sure on the stat sheet anyway, and I'm sure they hit Joe Burrow a lot more. The Bengals defense, on the other hand, just couldn't stop the run. They kind of stopped Mayfield pretty well, and at the goal line, actually, they had a really good goal line stand. So it looked like the Bengals defense only really wanted to play when they were on the 1 yard line or in the red zone. But other than that, Bengals defense wasn't great. I think this was a really good game. If you have it recorded and you haven't watched it yet, go watch it, and you'll see Joe Burrow make some great throws, some amazing reads, and doesn't throw an interception. He has a couple that maybe should have been an interception, but for the most part, his ball placement's really well, and I like where he's going as a quarterback. They just got to keep developing him, give him some weapons, and he will bring that franchise greatness that they've never had before. So, next topic, which will be the final topic, is going to be our Week 2 predictions. So, let me go ahead and get those out right here. So, Bengals and Browns already played, and that was I actually predicted believe it or not, I predicted the Browns to win. They won by 5. So, Giants at Bears. Dylan, what is your prediction for the Giants at the Bears?
I have the Giants winning this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bears can win it. I think it's going to be close.
I
don't have the scores like I did last week, but I'll have them back for Week 3.
All right. Yeah, I haven't been doing scores. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like you really can't predict a score in a football game, but you can predict who wins. Because the score could be anything. And if you get it exactly right, good job. Good for you. But I'm not like a big score person. Like, that's why I don't have like the scores next to who won. I like what matters at the end of the day is if you won or lost the game. So yeah, for that game I have the Bears winning. I think the Bears defense has been playing pretty well. Maybe Detroit was a little much for them to handle, but they still came out with a win. I think Khalil Mack's going to be great against the Giants. A poor offensive line. I think the Bears are going to win this one. Rams at Eagles.
I have the Eagles. Eagles winning this one.
I think I was going to go with my original prediction had the Eagles winning, but after watching the Rams play the Cowboys and knowing that the Eagles have arguably a worse offensive line, especially than the Eagles, with the Eagles, all their injuries they have on the offensive line, and Aaron Donald and that amazing defense with Jalen Ramsey. I just don't think Carson Wentz is going to have a fun time. I think the Bears are going to end up winning this one. They're going to have to rely on both defenses to win this game for them. I think it's going to be kind of a low-scoring game, maybe around in 20s for both teams, maybe even lower than that. But I could see this one going either way as well, but I think the Rams are the overall better team. So I'm going to go with the Rams. So Falcons at Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys winning this one.
Yeah, I had the Cowboys winning it too, and then they lost to the Rams, and then I started rethinking this one a lot. The Cowboys are a team that really needs to gain their identity back. I think the Falcons are a team that knows their identity pretty well. Todd Gurley as an addition. They played really well against the Seahawks, who I think are one of the better teams, if not one of the top two teams in the NFC. I think the Falcons just have too many weapons for the Cowboys to handle, and I could see the Falcons putting up 30, maybe even more than that, on the Cowboys. Will it happen? We'll see how well the defense is coordinated to stop Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, Todd Gurley. Matt Ryan, still a great quarterback. Even if you don't think he's elite, you can admit he is one of the great quarterbacks in the league. Cowboys have a lot of question marks. Can their offense keep up with the Falcons' offense? And that's going to be really fun to watch. They are playing at the Cowboys Stadium, so maybe that'll give them a little advantage, like playing at the Star Stadium. We'll see how that goes. Panthers at Bucks. Who you got, Dylan?
I have the Panthers.
I love. Okay, if you guys haven't noticed the pattern here, we've picked basically opposite all the way. Sorry for interrupting you, but we've picked opposite all the way up to this point.
Yeah. So I have the Panthers winning this one. As Kevin will, I'm sure, point out, he doesn't trust Teddy Bridgewater yet.
Not yet.
And I'm not saying I trust him completely. I think the Panthers will pull out this win. I think this is the first time in Tom Brady's career he's going to go 0-2.
That's crazy. Is that actually true? Is that a true stat?
I'm pretty sure. I
feel like he's been 0-2 before.
I feel like I'm 95% sure that's a true stat.
Well, we'll have to do some research after this. Check that out. But that's. Can you guess who I'm picking, guys? I'll give you 3 seconds right here. Who am I picking? If you chose the Bucks, you're right. Yeah, I like the Bucks. I think the Bucks have more talent. I think they're going to get all their talent together, playing in Florida at the Buccaneers home stadium. The Panthers just came off that really close loss. Their morale's a little down, but so with the Bucks, morale as well.
Yeah.
But I think the Bucks are just they have so much talent that the Panthers kind of don't have besides McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And that rookie defensive tackle. I don't really know how well he played. I didn't watch that game, like I said, but. Yeah, I think the Bucks are just the overall better team, so I'm going to go with them on this one. 49ers at Jets. Hopefully we don't disagree on this one, because if we do, we're going to have some issues, Dylan.
No, I'm just I got the 49ers winning this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Jets. Nah. Dude, the 49ers are better than the Jets. Jets have nobody in their secondary for sure.
If you pick the Jets, you're probably just a Jets fan.
You probably are. And not saying that the Jets couldn't win this game, because crazier things have happened, but this is, a team that was in the Super Bowl last year versus a team that has no one. They have Sam Darnold and Becton at left tackle, and that's about it. So, yeah, I like the 49ers. I think they have a lot more talent, so I'm going to go with them. Broncos at Steelers.
I have the Broncos winning. I don't know how confident I am in the Broncos winning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Steelers definitely can win it.
Right.
And they might, but I have the Broncos winning as of now.
So, we're going to go back to our... to every other game besides the Jets and 49ers game. I went with the Steelers. I think the Steelers are a good team this year. I think they're good enough to go 11-5 or 10-6 and get second in that division. I feel like the Broncos have a lot of talent. They just kind of got to put it all together. Drew Lock is still missing some balls he probably should make. I haven't really watched him. I really want to watch him. So I've heard he's good, and people have told me he's good, and I've kind of watched him. I've seen that he shows sparks of talent. I got to watch him more to actually know, though. But I know the Steelers' defense is very stingy. They like turnovers. They like getting interceptions. They have like this... It's almost scary going against them, especially at home. They're playing at Heinz Field. I think the Steelers have that as their advantage, and I'm going to take them. But if the Broncos do win, I wouldn't be surprised. But without Von Miller, I'm taking the Steelers, and that's just it.
Yeah. So next is the Jaguars versus the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I might just be hyped up from week one, but I got the Jaguars.
When we were talking before we recorded, I didn't realize that every single game that Dylan picked, I picked the opposite.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I think I was just like, oh yeah, it's whatever. But I picked the Titans. I think I don't know how good the kicker's gonna do. He missed three or four field goals last week, but maybe he'll be good enough to hopefully be the Jaguars. But the Titans are a little different team than the Colts. The Colts don't want to run the ball. The Colts want to throw the ball. That's why they got Phillip Rivers in the offseason. The Titans want to run the ball with Derrick Henry and play action with Ryan Tannehill. I think they're going to be able to do that without the Jags' defensive line being as good as it was. The Jags' secondary is pretty good, I think, especially if you look at last game. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Titans. I think they're just a little bit better. If the Jags win, I'd be surprised very. The Jags starting out 2-0 is not something a lot of people would have thought. I thought they were really going to tank this year, but I guess not. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Titans, but if the Jags win, I mean, I'm going to be kind of, like, awestruck here. Lions and Packers, who do you got?
I have the Packers.
I have the Packers, too. Okay, so Packers played really well, and then they're playing at the second home game straight with the Packers. It's going to be the same concept as last week for the Packers, I feel like. The Lions and the Vikings are pretty similar teams. I think that the Vikings are better coached, but the Packers are just the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and all the talent on offense, all the talent on defense, the Smith brothers on defense, edge rushing. So, yeah, I'm taking the Packers, too. You don't really have to talk about that one. I mean, could the Lions win? Sure, but the Packers, especially Aaron Rodgers with no fans, it's Aaron Rodgers. So, Bills at Dolphins.
I have the Bills winning this one.
You get the Bills. I have the Bills as well. I have the Bills. I think the Bills are good enough to win that division, but the Patriots are still a factor with Cam Newton. So I think the Bills have the defense that's really going to stop the Dolphins. Stephon Gilmore got, I want to say he got 2 interceptions last week against the Dolphins. He might have only got 1, but I know for sure he got at least 1. He played really well against the Dolphins, and I feel like Tre'Davious White isn't quite as good as Gilmore is, but is close to that level of play. So I'm going to go with the Bills just because their secondary is really good and Fitzpatrick is the quarterback. And, yeah, I think the Bills are just more talented. Vikings at Colts.
I have the Vikings winning this one.
I do too. I think both teams are 0-1. Both teams were kind of hoping to get the win. I think a lot of people were expecting the Colts to win. Even me, I expected the Colts to win last week. But Vikings, with Kirk Cousins, I feel like they have just more talent around the offensive side of the ball for the Vikings. I feel like Kirk Cousins is maybe a little bit better, maybe a hair better than Phillip Rivers, at least at decision-making anyway. Both running, they have Dalvin Cook on the Vikings side. The offensive line for the Vikings has really been tough to hand. Like, they've just really had struggles on that offensive line for the Vikings. But the Colts don't have an amazing defensive line, so that'll give Kirk Cousins some time to make proper reads and stuff. My concern is the defense for each side of the team. Vikings don't have a great secondary. If you don't believe me, go watch the Packers and Vikings games last week. I think the Vikings offense will be good enough to score more on the Colts than the Colts offense will be to score against the Vikings, and that's why I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. So that brings us to our next game, the Washington football team, at the Cardinals.
I have the Cardinals winning this one.
I do too. I think the Cardinals are a team that's really going to shock some people this year. I think they have a lot of young players and they can possibly build a dynasty. They're probably in arguably the toughest division of football right now, but I think they have all the talent they need to win the NFC. But they've put it all together. And if they don't beat the football team, I'm going to be really upset because as a Cowboys fan, they're in our division. We need the Cardinals to win. So, yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals too. I think Kyler Murray played really well. I think DeAndre Hopkins might have a couple issues with the football team's defense, but overall, yeah, I think the Cardinals will win this game. We've got 4 more games left. We have the Ravens at the Texans.
I have the Ravens winning this one.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think the Texans from week 1 are going to feel very good about their week 1 performance overall. Yeah. The score might have been closer than what the game actually was, but the Texans team just isn't anything compared to the Chiefs, and you can tell that the Ravens and the Chiefs are kind of on the same plane as terms of how well they're coached and how good they are and all the talent they have and how they use it and their swagger and confidence they have. I don't think the Texans have that quite yet. Especially the Ravens' offensive line is extremely good, and the Chiefs' offensive line is pretty good, but I don't think the Chiefs' offensive line is even as close as good as the Ravens, and Texans are having problems with the run game. So I expect the Ravens to run the ball out against the Texans and beat them up like that, and they can also probably throw it through the air as well. Chiefs and Chargers. Who you got?
I got the Chiefs winning this one.
You got the Chiefs? I also got the Chiefs. A lot of people were saying the upset here, and I'm really confused because I feel like the Chargers don't have the offense to keep up with the Chiefs. The Chiefs' defense is better than the Chargers' offense. They have Keenan Allen on offense. That's about it. I was going to say Melvin Gordon, but he's not on the team anymore. So they only have one really good player on the Chargers' offense. Tyrod Taylor is still the quarterback, and as long as that's the case, I don't think the rookie Justin Herbert is going to be any better, but until then, I'm taking the Chiefs. I really like Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I'm just not going to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Chiefs are going to win. They just have more talent. They have Patrick Mahomes. They're playing away. Maybe if the Chargers get better throughout the season, they could win later in the year, but right now I'm taking the Chiefs. Patriots at Seahawks.
I have the Seahawks winning this game.
I do too. I think Cam Newton's going to get really surprised when he realizes that not all teams are as easy to beat as the Dolphins were. And even then, that wasn't an easy team to beat. It was still a one-score game for the most part of that game. But the Seahawks are just a better team. They have Russell Wilson, who's arguably one of the best, if not the best, well, second best. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, is the best quarterback in my opinion. Yeah. But second best for sure quarterback in the league. And the Patriots' defense is all right, but Seahawks' defense is probably just as good, if not better. They have a safety. They have an elite safety, where the Patriots have an elite cornerback. It's really similar defenses, but when you look at the offense, the Seahawks' offense is better than the Patriots. Unless Cam Newton can really shred that Seahawks defense, I don't see the Patriots winning this one. But this is always a really good matchup and should be an interesting game to watch for sure. That'll bring us to, I believe, our last game. And that'll be the Saints at the Raiders. So who you got here?
I have the Saints winning this one.
Yeah, I think the Saints are also going to win. I think the Raiders started off really good 1-0, but their defense still scares me. They don't really have much of a secondary. The Saints have a lot of weapons. They have Emmanuel Sanders. They have Michael Thomas at wide receiver, and then Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara had an amazing game against the Bucs. I really like the Saints here as well. And that'll wrap it up, I think, for football anyways, at least my Week 2 predictions. And that'll bring Dylan over to his basketball as he's getting set up now. He's going to be talking about...
We're going to talk about the Clippers.
The Clippers.
And their offseason.
Yeah. Oh, boy. What happened, Dylan?
Man.
If you guys watched the last podcast, you'll remember Dylan had the Clippers already going to the finals in his prediction. And,
how to win it all, baby.
Yeah. Hey, there's always next year.
Yeah, well, actually, next year, this team needs to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
They said they're going to keep Doc Rivers. I don't agree. Doc Rivers has shown time and time again that he can't make the right adjustments at the end of a game to win the game if it's a close game. So I think we should get rid of Doc Rivers personally. I like Doc Rivers. He's a good guy. Not the best coach. And I think this might be. I believe this is his third or fourth 3-1 lead blown with the Clippers. I believe his third, but he said I believe 8-3-1 or not 8-3-1 lead blown, but 8 lead series blown. That's not good. That's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So what the Clippers should do with their offseason is, so the people we don't have in the books are the important people are Jermichael Green, Marcus Morris Sr., and Montrezl Harrell, or Montrezl Harrell. He has an L, but it's silent, so it's a weird name. So I think a really important player for us to get in this offseason is Drew Holiday. He's not what he used to be, but he's still he's a real point guard, and that's what the Clippers need a lot. They need playmaking. If you watch the Clippers play, it's a bunch of like park ball, where pretty much you're ISOing and you get your own bucket. But having a playmaker who can get you a shot for you, and I talked about this last week about how that's like the Clippers' one weakness is like they don't have a playmaker, and you could really tell when they were playing the Nuggets. And also, dude, they just choked. They played bad. Kawhi Leonard had 14 points, and Paul George had 10 in Game 7, which is unacceptable. And I really didn't think Kawhi Leonard was going to choke like that. I really thought he's going to come out, drop 40, but he dropped 14.
Weren't they up 3-1?
Yeah, they were up 3-1.
And
they blew
Kawhi didn't step up in any of those games at all?
It wasn't as much as him. I mean, in Game 7 it was, but...
Right. I mean, I know one player doesn't make up the team, but basketball's a little bit smaller than football, and I would just kind of assume that, player at his level would be pretty good.
I believe it was Game 5 and 6, we blew a 16-point lead and a 17-point lead.
Ooh.
In both of those games. No, it was Game 4 and Game 5. And that's just so many leads blown. And then the big lead blown, the 3-1 series lead.
Right.
So the Clippers, they are saying they want to run it back, but I don't think we should. I think we have Kawhi and Paul George on the books one more year. If we lose them, we don't have any first-round picks till 2028.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it was. I heard 2027, but same concept.
Yeah, still a long time. So
yeah, very.
Paul George said this year wasn't a chip or bust year, which pretty much just means like if we don't win the championship, it's not that big a deal. But it is. It's a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
We traded 7 first-round picks for Paul George just for him to, come on, be PG 13% out there in the playoffs, playoff P, whatever you want to call him. He played terribly. I was really hoping he would pick up his play, and he did for a little bit. And but in that Game 7, 10 points, just terrible. So someone we should get is Drew Holiday. He's a good point guard. He's great defensively. He's going to fit into the system of grit and grind since we are going to keep Doc Rivers for some reason. So Drew Holiday is making $26 million, and the only way we can make this work is if we trade Lou Will, Patrick Beverley, and Rodney McGruder, who doesn't play anyway. But the two big name pieces in there are Patrick Beverley and Lou Will. I love Lou Will, and I do not want to trade Lou Will. But I think that's what's going to happen. He's getting older in age. I think he's 33, 34. Patrick Beverley's like 30. And as much as I would like to keep those two guys because they're kind of our identity, or they were for the past few years before we got Kawhi in them, I think it's time to separate ways. We have to win a championship with this team, or we're screwed for the next decade. Even then, even after the championship, we're screwed for the next decade. But having a ring would be a lot better way to be screwed. So the trade is Drew Holiday for Patrick Beverley, Lou Will, and Rodney McGruder. This matches the money. I don't know if the Pelicans would want to do this, but this is just hypothetical. That's how you match up the money. It would be really nice to get them. I've also been hearing the name Joel Embiid thrown around in a lot of trades. The 76ers, they want Lou Will, is what's being reported by everybody. And yes, Joel Embiid is leagues better than Lou Will. He could be an important trade piece in that trade. Joel Embiid hasn't said he wants out, but if he wants out, I wouldn't be surprised. They've come up short every year for the past couple years with him and Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was injured these playoffs, but I still think Celtics would have beat them in the first round. So if we do get Joel Embiid, I think one thing we're going to have to do is probably sign and trade Montrezl. Because we're going to have to... He's a free agent this year. He's going to want probably a lot of money. He hasn't said how much he wants. It hasn't been talked about. But he's going to want a lot of money. So if we sign him, it's going to probably have to be a sign and trade with him and Lou Will and a couple other pieces. We don't have any picks to throw in the trade for Joel Embiid. If that happens, I doubt it will. And I was talking about how we might be able to get Giannis last week, I believe. That's not going to happen. He said in an interview, it was really confusing, the whole interview, because all I saw was like quotes of it. But he said my agent, like every superstar has an agent.
Right.
He said he's gonna find the best team for me, if that's this team or a different team. Best team to help me win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
But he also said I want to stay. He said I don't see any reason not to stay in Milwaukee for the next 15 years of my career. So kind of contradicting things to say there. You want to stay, but I get what he's saying. The Bucks need to make a change. They need to trade for Chris Paul. I talked about it last week. You can go check that out in the last podcast. They need Chris Paul. Clippers could use Chris Paul, but we can't make the money match with him making $41 million and without trading Paul George or something. I'm sure Thunder fans don't want to see Paul George back in town after what he did in the playoffs the 2 years before this one. So playoff P is real. He sucks. I don't want him anymore. Any team can have him for anybody. But I would like to have Drew Holiday. I think a better trade to make this work, it would also help with money, is Paul George for Drew Holiday. I think we would get some picks out of that because Paul George is better than Drew Holiday. But if that has to happen, I'm okay with that. Drew Holiday is going to come in. He's going to be a great point guard that the Clippers desperately need. He's going to bring elite defense. Kevin Durant said that the best defenders they ever played against was just Drew Holiday. And so having him on the team would be amazing. I would love to have him. And in terms of the rest of their offseason, so people get JaMychal Green back. JaMychal Green played so great this season. He's a good backup for your power forward center spot. And if you want to go small ball, he's great. Before the playoffs, he was shooting 50% from three. I don't know about in the playoffs, but I know he was still playing at a good level. And just, he's old, but I'd say get him back. You need that veteran presence anyway. And then Marcus Morris Sr., a lot of people do not like Marcus Morris for many reasons. He's kind of a douchebag, so I get it. But as a Clipper fan, I want him back. He played amazing these playoffs. He was shooting good percentages, averaging, I believe in that Nuggets series, averaging 16 points per game, which is almost back to his New York Knicks days before he got traded to here, where he was averaging 19 points per game. So I want to bring him back, and worst comes to worst, that's another sign and trade piece. And same thing with Montrezl Harrell. I want to get Montrezl back. I want to probably sign and trade him. I would like to keep him, but with Zubac not being the best defender down low, and then Montrezl being 6'7", playing the center spot, it doesn't work. And I think so. We need to trade him first round 8. I would like to get Serge Ibaka. He's a name out there. I don't believe he's a free agent, but we could sign and trade him to the Raptors. Speaking of that, Montrezl did start following the Raptors, so it's likely he'll be playing in Toronto next year. So if we can get something out of that, maybe sign and trade him for Serge Ibaka, that would be amazing. He's a great defender. He can stretch the floor. He's old as dirt, like 35 years old or something like that. But he's gonna come in to make an immediate impact, and you're gonna be able to tell. So that's what the Clippers should do with their offseason. I'm disappointed in this team, but I can't say I'm truly surprised. Stuff like this always happens with the Clippers. Just being a fan of this team, so much pain.
Can't be worse than being a Cowboys fan, dude.
No, it's worse.
Is it?
It's worse. it's terrible. So talking about Giannis, I already mentioned earlier how he said what he said in that interview. So it's still up in the air, but it's looking like he's going to stay, at least for this year. I still don't see him staying and signing an extension, but I guess contract extension deadline, I believe, is sometime after the All-Star break. So if he doesn't sign his extension by then, it's safe to say he's probably leaving or wants more money from the Bucks. Even though, no, that's not, because he can get the max extension now. So if he doesn't sign that extension, he's leaving. I believe he's leaving already anyway. And another controversial topic with Giannis is him winning the MVP over LeBron. The one thing I have to say is the MVP is a regular season award. So what happens in the playoffs does not matter whatsoever. So the main argument for LeBron winning it over Giannis is that Giannis got bounced in the second round, which is true. He lost 4-1. And, if the playoffs were considered into the MVP, then yeah, he shouldn't win it. But since it's a regular season award, he had the best team with the best record, only team to win 50 wins, Lakers won 50 wins as well. But Bucks had a way better record. So the best player on the best team with the best record. He put up averages of 30, 11, and I believe only like 4 or 5 assists, but that's not his job. Only on 30 minutes per game, that's insane. LeBron putting up stats of 25 and 7, or 25, 10 and 7. He did that in like 35 minutes. When you look at the regular season, I think it's crazy to say LeBron should have won it over Giannis. People keep bringing up the playoffs into the argument, and that's stupid. That's not what the argument is. That's not what the MVP is. It's the best player in the regular season, and that was by far Giannis. And now we'll be talking about the awards. So I just talked about the MVP. I truly believe Giannis should have got it. But Defensive Player of the Year, it could be a way different story. So with Defensive Player of the Year, you had AD who put up one more block, I believe. One more block and half more steals. And I think Giannis won it just because he's only the 5th player in the NBA of like the whole history to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. I think that's a big reason for the MVP, because the way the MVP voting works is it's the NBA does it based off like a story. Like, is it gonna make like money? It doesn't like it's like the story aspect of it. You also have the play aspect of it, which he obviously was the best player in the regular season with the number he was putting up. And it's just they do change it up some years. Like 2015, James Harden should have won it. He carried that Houston Rockets team to the playoff. And Steph Curry had a great season, don't get me wrong, but James Harden should have won that. Same thing in 2017 when Russell Westbrook won it. I know he averaged a triple-double, but so I still think James Harden should have won that one. He also carried the Rockets, as he's been doing for the past half a decade. So I think with the awards, I think the MVP being Giannis and the defensive player being Giannis, it makes sense. I kind of agree, but defensive player of the year definitely could have gone to Anthony Davis. And then with six man, it was also controversial with six man. Montrezl Harrell won it. If you didn't know, Montrezl Harrell comes off the bench for the Clippers, even though he's better than Zubac. Him and Lou Will both come off the bench. They were both in top three for candidates to win six man. And I think the reason he won it is he's not a great defender, but he is a better defender than Dennis Schroeder, who was also in the race. But Dennis Schroeder probably should have won it. He put up 19 points per game, like 6 assists, like 3 rebounds. He was the backup point guard for the Thunder, who surprised a lot of people getting the 5th seed, going 7 games with the Rockets. I agree he should have won it, but as a Clippers fan, I'm not upset that Montrezl won it, obviously. And then Coach of the Year is Nick Nurse. So Nick Nurse is the coach of the Toronto Raptors. And after the Raptors lost Kawhi in the offseason, which this hurts me to say, but as a Clippers fan, I think he should have probably stayed with the Raptors. They lost a 7 with the Celtics. With the Raptors with Kawhi are probably the final winners. I guess he wanted to come home. He wanted to come to LA. He wanted to live back in his home roots, be with his family. But talking as a fan of Kawhi, he should have stayed with the Raptors. Talking as a fan of the Clippers, I'm glad he came to the Clippers, obviously. And then, so for the Coach of the Year, it was Nick Nurse. Everyone expected them to be like a 7th, 8th seed. They ended up winning the 2nd seed, had the same record as they did last year. Or not the same exact record because there's less games played this year, but en route they had the same record. So Nick Nurse won it, and he definitely deserved to win it. And then with the most improved, the most improved was a really good race with Brandon Ingram winning it. He's a small forward for the New Orleans Pelicans. Luka Doncic, we'll just call him Luka. Everyone knows who Luka is. He was up there in the conversation, and so was Bam Adebayo, who is tearing up the Celtics right now. He had that amazing block on Jason Tatum. He is such a good player. He's going to win a Defensive Player of the Year eventually. He's that good of a defender. He can guard 1 through 5, truly 1 through 5. And but Brandon Ingram won it. He went up from 17 points to 24 points per game, which is a big jump. He got a better fit with the Pelicans. The Lakers just wasn't working out. And Laker fans, they're harsh. That is not a good place for a young rookie to grow up, unless you're like Kobe and you have that mindset. But Brandon Ingram did not. He's not Kobe. He's Brandon Ingram. So I think growing up not growing up with the Lakers, but growing up with the Lakers in NBA terms, it really, I think, hurt his mentality and hurt his mental, everything going on. Because Laker fans, they're harsh, and I don't like Laker fans, but I am a Clipper fan. So
who does?
It makes sense. So Brandon Ingram winning it, I totally agree with that. And then Rookie of the Year, this should have been unanimous, but I forgot his name. He's a clown. He's a stupid a reporter for the not Chicago Times, but there's Chicago. He lives in Chicago. He reports for Chicago. He voted Zion Williamson for Rookie of the Year. Zion played 19 games this regular season. 19. You cannot win Rookie of the Year with playing only 19 games. And yeah, he put up averages of like 25 points per game, like 10 rebounds and a couple assists. But Ja Morant played the whole season. I mean, he missed a couple games, but he played pretty much the whole season. Way more than 19 games, I can tell you that much. and he put averages up a 19, 5, and like 6. And they were the 8th seed for a while, but then the bubble, Damian Lillard, he literally put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. So, I mean, they got the 8th seed. But John Morant, what he did this season, the Grizzlies have such a bright future with him and Jaren Jackson as a duo, and then you have Jonas Valanciunas for the center, he can stretch the floor as well, which is in the NBA, at least now, having a center who can stretch the floor is probably the most important thing you can have, because you're just going to get tore up if you don't have a center that can stretch the floor, and it just clogs up the paint. And for a player like John Morant, he can jump out of the building, and his shooting's not the best. Having your 5 or your center stretching the floor, it really helps. I mean, John Morant had like 10 minutes worth of highlights in only his rookie year. He's a human highlight reel pretty much. He did miss a couple good dunks, but I mean whatever. That would have been good dunks, but he missed them. So with John Morant winning the Rookie of the Year, it should have been unanimous. Every NBA fan other than Pelican fans will agree with you, and even some Pelican fans know that Zion shouldn't have won it. So it's a good thing John Morant did end up winning it. It was a landslide. And so that's all the awards for this season. So let me talk about my rest of the playoff predictions, since I've been screwed over by the Clippers.
Yeah, now you got to do a whole nother bracket.
Yeah, so
hopefully
pretty much,
you've been thinking about this a little bit.
Lakers, I have the Lakers going to the finals. I'm not going to count the Nuggets out. Obviously, they're an insane team. Jamal Murray's insane. He's got his girlfriend in the bubble now. I don't know if you saw the Instagram video that he posted on his story one time. He was giving that Gok 3000. If you understand what I'm saying, his girlfriend's back in town. He's been playing insane. He dropped 40 on us in Game 7.
Is that why you think he's doing so well?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're not gonna. I'll just say maybe his girlfriend's like telling him like, if you don't win this championship, no more. So
yeah,
maybe that's why he's
averaging
35 points.
Makes sense.
So yeah, he dropped 40 on us in Game 7. Was the best player on the floor that game. And big reason we lost, and big reason the Jazz lost as well. They blew a 3-1 lead too, so I don't hear Jazz fans saying anything to me, being a Clipper fan. You blew a 3-1 lead too, and your best player was averaging 40 points per game. So, screw Jazz fans. So, pretty much with the finals, I have the Lakers going to the finals. Nuggets make it, I won't be surprised. And then the Heat right now are up 2-0 against the Celtics. I had Celtics in 7. And I slept on the Heat once again, man. I had them winning in 7 in the first round, had them losing in 7 in the second round, and had them losing in 7 in the conference finals. And they're just going to keep coming out and surprising me, and I don't know why I keep letting it happen. But if I had to go back now, Celtics, I think, will bring it to 6 or 7. But this Heat team, man, they're something different. They have great shooters. They have a closer in Jimmy Butler, who's been the most clutch player in the playoffs. And then you have a great defensive team with Kendrick. You have Jimmy Butler, who's a great defender. Bam Adebayo is a great defender. Andre Iguodala and Jay Crowder are both great defenders. I have the Lakers and the Heat, and what a storyline, the Lakers and the Heat. Any way this goes for the playoffs, it's a great storyline, because Kobe's last finals run, he beat the Trailblazers game in the series one, in the first series, which is what Lakers did with LeBron. In the second round, they beat the Rockets, which is also what LeBron and Lakers did. And now they're playing the Nuggets, which is exactly what Kobe did as well.
That's crazy. So,
as a Kobe fan, it would be cool if the Lakers won it and they did this for Kobe. As a Clippers fan, obviously, I don't want the Lakers to succeed in any aspect of life. In terms of basketball, I mean, I don't hate LeBron James. I actually like LeBron James, but he's a Laker now, so I can't like him anymore. So with the Lakers and the Heat, LeBron, if you didn't know, LeBron played for the Heat. That's where he won 2 of his 3 rings. He won 2 MVPs, I believe, Defensive Player of the Year, maybe 2 of them, and 2 Finals MVPs. So him playing his former team in the finals, with the same coach and everything, it would be a great storyline. And then if you have the Lakers and Celtics playing each other, I mean, Lakers and Celtics have a rivalry that goes back to the 60s. The Celtics have 17 championships in their in their whole history of their team, and Lakers have 16. So Celtics versus Lakers would be a classic rivalry.
It is.
And either way the finals goes, it's going to be a great series. But I have Lakers and Heat, and you know what? I'm finally not going to sleep on the Heat. I got the Heat in 7.
Got the Heat?
Heat in 7. I know LeBron James is LeBron James, and he's one of the best players in the world. And but I just think that Heat team, they have so many weapons. And as I've been saying with the Lakers, it hasn't really been too big of a problem with the teams they've played. I think if they would have played the Clippers, their problems would have shined better than when they played the Nuggets. But they don't have anybody but LeBron and AD. Markieff Morris had a good game last night. Kyle Kuzma had a good game. And then playoff Rondo, I slept on Rondo. Playoff Rondo is real. That man, he picks it up in the playoffs. And I believe he just passed Michael Jordan for all-time assists in the playoffs. And he's now at number 9. So, I mean, Rondo is not what he used to be with the Celtics, but he's still playoff Rondo, and he's still going to go out there. He's a great playmaker. He can't do anything really other than playmake, but he does it so well it doesn't really matter. He's a good defender as well. So with the Lakers and the Heat in the finals, you put Jimmy Butler on LeBron, or you put Bam on LeBron. You're gonna put Bam on AD because he's gonna have the best chance. You put Jimmy Butler on LeBron, and they're not gonna shut him down because they're so good. The LeBron and AD are, but they're definitely going to slow them down, but not shut them down. I think the Heat win in 7, and if the Heat don't win in 7, then Lakers in 6, if that makes sense at all. I think if it goes to Game 7, Heat win. If they don't go to Game 7, Lakers win in 6 is what I have. So that's pretty much it for the playoff predictions. That's pretty much it for basketball today.
That's pretty much it for the podcast.
That's pretty much it for the podcast. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is our 3rd podcast. It's been a joy.
It's always fun to work with Dylan and being here. Yeah. I love doing this. I think it's fun.
I love this too, and I hope this can be a career path. That'd be amazing.
A career path.
A career path.
You're the guy. Yeah, so we need some Patreons. Come on, guys. Stop being greedy with your money.
Yeah, pay us.
Please.
We're
broke. We have nothing.
Yeah, so pretty much we just want to thank you guys so far. We've got a lot of positive feedback, no negative feedback, which...
None yet, anyway.
Yeah, none yet.
Hopefully. I wouldn't mind negative feedback if it blew up.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, if we get not Leafy is here because he's not doing it anymore, but if he did this and he roasted us, we'd blow up. So
yeah.
I mean, if you're out there and you listen to this and you just you have a couple thousand subscribers, you want to roast us, please go ahead.
Please roast us.
My voice is annoying. His voice is too deep. I don't care what you say.
I'm 16. My voice shouldn't be this deep.
But we just want to thank you guys for the positive feedback, the likes, the subscribes.
It's been great. I love doing this. It helps us to work through it. And, when we look at it, our channel's small right now. We know that. But we know if we keep working hard and we truly talk about how we feel about stuff, about sports, because a lot of people, especially in the country right now, it's being really divided in politics and whatnot. But I feel like when we talk about sports, it's something everyone can kind of get behind and see, even if you aren't a big sports person, just something to play in the background, listen to us, maybe even learn about sports. So I think this is great for everybody. Listening is definitely great for me and Dylan, and talking. We love it.
It's great for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Listening or us talking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we blow up, we can have LeBron James on the show or something.
Hey, maybe.
That'd be crazy.
So
blow it up.
But it starts with you guys. If you can't donate, like I said, we were joking earlier about you giving us your money.
Don't give us your money if you don't want to.
Yeah. Now, if you have the excess money and you really enjoy this podcast and you want to help us that way, that's the best way you can help us. But if you don't have that money, please don't give it to us. Please keep it for yourself. But what you can do, which is free, is tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your dog's friends, who's probably a dog,
cousin,
everybody. Just let them know that we have a podcast, and if you're a big sports fan or a small sports fan, you'll enjoy this podcast. Hopefully,
the best way you can help us, other than paying us your money, is sharing this.
Yeah, definitely.
The more exposure we get, the more chances for money, the better this podcast is going to become. So when you share this podcast, you're helping out 2 16-year-olds who want to make a great podcast.
Definitely. So Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this is episode 3, and we'll have episode 4 up next Sunday as well, as we normally do. And yeah, links are in the description to our Patreon, to our Instagram, TikTok, and to TikTok's getting shut down. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, that's getting shut down.
So don't worry about the TikTok link. I'm probably not even gonna put it in, but I might. Who knows? But yeah, so check out our Instagram and Twitter for sure, and Patreon if you feel like donating, or like at least check it out. Even if you're like, oh, I'm not gonna donate, go check it out, and send the link to people who maybe would want to donate and help us out if they like our podcast. So yeah. Want to thank you guys all again one last time for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. See y'all later.
See ya.
Wake up and every day told me a promise that I would make it one day as an artist. Music's the only thing keeping me honest. I know that I want it, I'm hoping I got it. Addicted to all this remotely melodic. See how some people become alcoholics. Addiction is real, but mine isn't as toxic. Although sometimes I feel a little psychotic. I know that I got it in me. Can't stop what's in me to the top. Believe me, I'm not resisting. It's all beginning. I'm all but willing to break the ceiling. Oh, take a chance and do it. Take a stance and prove it to yourself. Improving every day you're moving. Every day's a new one. Don't fear to lose one. Bounce back and move on.